Tanzania-born Azim Jamal is a former self-described bad kid who figured out early in the game there was more to life than partying, fooling around, and barely passing school. Today, he is an executive coach, a sportsman, author, motivator, father who rises at 2 a.m. sometimes to read, meditate, visualize, and start his day. He gave up his 20-year accounting, financial planning career because his heart was not in it. His first book was called 7 Steps to Lasting Happiness. His new one is co-authored with fundraiser Harvey McKinnon called Nice to meet you.
Thank you, Fanny.
You call yourself a corporate Sufi. Tell me a little bit about Sufism.
The way I define Sufi is more as a metaphor to imply essence, not the form, being grounded in principles, values, ethics, and believing in the power of giving, and wanting spiritual abundance. So when you look at corporate, it's more about business, commerce, and when you combine these two, you get somebody who's efficient, goal-oriented, productive, heart-centered, principle-centered, balanced individual who wants both material abundance as well as spiritual abundance.
Okay, because it could be a bit of an oxymoron, a corporate Sufi.
It's an uncommon marriage.
It's an uncommon marriage, especially with what's going on in Wall Street and in Europe and in the banks.
So the idea is a corporate person can learn from a Sufi, and a Sufi can learn from a corporate person. A Sufi is so laid back and so spiritual that sometimes they don't have the power to help others. Whereas a corporate is so much success-oriented, material-oriented, doesn't have the balance of the quietness, the giving, the meditation, the balance, and so on.
So take me back to the time when you were a bit of a bad boy. And I don't mean you were robbing banks or killing people, but you're a self-described bad boy. Was there a defining moment that changed your life or your direction?
Two things. In 1972, I moved from Tanzania to go to Kenya, and I started meditating early in the morning for an hour every day, and that made me go into myself. In our book, The Power of Giving, we talk about intrapersonal giving. It's a term Harvey has coined, Harvey McKinnon, my co-author, where he talks about giving something to yourself. And meditation is one thing you can give to yourself. So giving is not just to other people, but also to yourself. So that's one thing that really helped me shift my consciousness. And the second thing was an experience I had working with the developing world, with the Afghan refugees, when I saw abject poverty and I was crying like a baby. That made me shake my inside to feel that I need to do something more in my life.
So you gave up your accounting career. I assume you've given it up. 20 years, accountant, good salary, all of that because your heart wasn't in it. That takes a lot of guts.
Yeah, I had 3 degrees in accounting. I was an ACCA from England, a CGA, a chartered financial planner. I was a senior partner in an accounting firm making $200 an hour. I gave that up completely. I went off the cliff backwards, jumped off the cliff backwards.
No kidding. And what did your family think about that?
It was very hard, Fanny. You know, it was very hard to try and get them on board, but I did spend the first 3 years working with them to make sure that they were on board, because if they weren't on board, I would not have survived my career change, because it was a struggle for me to change the career. I almost gave it up. But because my family supported me when the times were difficult, I was able to ride through the storm.
And you wrote a book, I know your early book was about happiness. Was it 7 Steps to Happiness?
That's right.
And it wasn't exactly a bestseller.
Well, it took a long time before it took off.
But it finally did.
Yes.
This one, The Power of Giving, is really about not just giving money. It's about giving other things.
I was doing a session with a mental wellness group on Saturday.
Yes.
These are people who are totally disabled. I mean, they have no difficulty even walking. And my message was giving. And you'd wonder, what can they give? They can give a thought. They can give a prayer. They can give forgiveness. So even a 90-year-old lady who might not have material wealth, who might be blind, she can give a good thought, a prayer, a good wish, a forgiveness.
The more of yourself you share, the more you find. It's an ancient principle.
The more you give, the more you have. The more you give, the more you create. The more you give, the more you innovate. The more in the flow of giving you are, the more giving flows through you. The more in the flow of abundance you are, abundance flows through you. If you have closed fists, if I give you something, you can't receive. But if you open your fist and give, you can also receive. So our message is, the more you give, whether it's your time, your knowledge, your money, your wisdom, the more you tap into your genius, into your creativity, and into your potential.
My granddad always said, the more you give, the more you get.
Precisely, you know. It's because if you think about, look at people like Warren Buffett, people like Oprah Winfrey, people like Bill Gates. Now, you might say that they have lots, so they can give a lot. But the fact is, maybe they were inclined to do a lot because they wanted to give a lot. Look at you. What you're doing is you're really using your birthday gift, what you're born with, the gift of the gab, that you're able to provoke people and take insights from people, and you're using it to make a world a better place.
Well, that's because I've been meditating all weekend with Tulsi Sen, trying to find out why I'm here and what I'm supposed to do. You say I may have found it.
I think you're doing it. I mean, it shows there's a twinkle in your eye, there's a smile on your face, your heart is open, your brows are unwrinkled, because, and that's what Og Mandino says this, that when you're in love and you're giving, people can see it. It resonates in your, there's an echo in your voice that shows that.
I understand that. I mean, I know I can't clean up the Wall Street mess, and you don't want me to build a bridge. So there are some things I simply don't know how to do. But Harvey McKinnon, who is a great fundraiser, who's your co-author, suggests that if you give back, you'll get healthy, and not just in money.
Yes, precisely. And not only research has proven that. In fact, there's some work done by Dr. Stephen Post. He did research in 44 universities, major universities, 50 different studies, which proves that when you give, you live longer, you live healthier, and you live happier. So longer, healthier, and happier. So there's a scientific proof behind giving that makes you more productive.
In writing this book, did you figure out why people give and why some people just can't give?
We really think, Harvey and me really think, it's the one who give are blessed. When you have blessing, no matter where you go, you end up giving, because giving follows you. You know, it's a blessing to give. It's a privilege to give. It's not a right. It's not a burden. So if you're given an opportunity to give, whether of your time, of your money, of your resources, of your wisdom, don't stop, because that is a blessing that creates abundance in your life.
So you can give to the planet, you suggest in here. You can give, you don't necessarily just have to give to your neighbor.
Environment, you can give to the community, you can give to somebody on the street who is sitting. And when you give something on the street, I give you an example of Catherine Mayers. You know, in 1996, she was walking in Chicago, and she saw a homeless person, and she put some money on the cup and kept walking. But she said that her leg felt like 200 pounds. So she came back and introduced herself, and the fellow's name was Marvin, and she found that he was blind since birth. And then she sat down beside him, put her arm around him, and started chatting with him. And she saw everybody walking around walk away because they were judging them. And she said, here's a man, you know, who was blind, who was, you know, non-judgmental, impartial, loving, and people were missing out his wisdom. And since then, she's been working with homeless ever since. So sometimes they don't need just our money. They need more than money. They need acknowledgement that they're human beings. And we don't know what they're going through. We judge them that they're drug addicts. But we don't know what a person may go through to be able to sit there and